Tragic news out of Minneapolis yesterday. A woman, 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, was shot and killed by an ICE officer in her car.
Now, the shooting quickly spawned dueling narratives from federal and local officials. Before we show the footage, do want to warn you, it may be disturbing to some viewers. Take a look at this bystander video of the shooting. Now, we did stop it right before the shots were fired. If you want to see the full version, it's all over social media. You see the car that Good was driving did back up and then abruptly pull forward. An ICE agent pulls his gun out at that point and then fires several shots into the car. Now, following the shooting, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem gave her agency's side of the story. We'll take a listen to that.
ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle. She refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots.
Trump echoed Noem on Truth Social. He wrote in part, "It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense." He continued, "The reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They're just trying to do the job of making America safe."
But Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey wasn't having it and gave a strong, direct message to ICE.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Right? Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
Now, embattled Minnesota Governor Tim Walz took it a step further, threatening to call up the National Guard. Take a listen.
We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks.
Now, in the hours after the shooting, protesters took to the streets, both in Minneapolis and several other major cities, including LA, Chicago, New York, and Seattle. Many of those protests urging ICE to leave their cities and calling for the arrest of the officer who shot Good. Now, Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib echoing that call in a post on X, writing, "ICE shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis today while she was trying to drive away from them. Her killer must be held accountable and brought to justice. We need this rogue agency out of our neighborhoods. Abolish ICE now."
But, on the other hand, Turning Point USA's Andrew Colvett, citing Secretary Noem in his own post, wrote in part, "Secretary Kristi Noem says that just today there have been 4 ramming attacks on federal officers, 3 of which happened in Minneapolis. If you use your vehicle to impede, evade, or attack law enforcement, the consequences, however preventable, are your fault."
Back here in Washington, Democratic Representative Robin Kelly says she plans to introduce articles of impeachment against Noem in the wake of the shooting, calling the secretary an incompetent leader and a disgrace to democracy.
Lots to discuss here. I've been talking about this on social media since it happened, and just tons of reactions. I've watched the video over and over again. I think a lot of people have. Lots of expert opinions being offered from people who don't actually know how the law works. In case anyone's clear or hasn't seen it, I encourage you to go watch it on social media if you want to better understand it. Of course, be aware it is the shooting and death of a woman. So the cops tell her to get out of the car. The one tries to open the door. Mm-hmm. And then there's another in front of the car. And she backs up, and then she shoots forward, and he fires the shots. Not the one, it kind of, the way it looks like, video can be so deceptive. It looks like it's coming from the one on the side, but it's actually the one in front of the car. And you can see the bullet hole through the window shield that it's shot through the front of the car. She's killed. She, collides with the car crashes, and that's what happened. Very sad. The question is going to be, there's so many things you can say, but whether it is going to be ruled a justified shooting. And I think where it's going to be on the officer's side is that he's in front of the car. You can see the windshield, the bullet hole goes through the front windshield. And so they're going to say, well, even though he could have clearly gotten out of the way. He could have jumped out of the way and not been hit. He did not need to do this, but that's not going to be the question from the standpoint of the law. It's going to be, was it justified? Did he have a reasonable fear for his life as this car starts coming at him? And I think, in my view, the answer is clearly going to be yes.
I think when you have an incident like this with video, and obviously since the last decade, we've seen videos like this go viral, unfortunately, on social media, and then you have the court of public opinion that just decides how everything went. But the responsibility of the leadership on both sides of the aisle is to say, everybody kind of remain calm, we're going to review this and give you factual information. And what we saw was a lot of calling somebody a domestic terrorist and labeling this immediately, as opposed to thoroughly reviewing this and seeing under the law what exactly are the next steps. To me, from my purview, from the video that I saw, it doesn't look great for DHS because, like you said, it seems like the person was trying to drive off and not ram a police officer.
But you can't just drive off when the police take you out of the car, right?
You also shouldn't be killed for that. Like, right? They could have shot the tire. There's many things that you can do.
No,
right?
But they don't shoot the tire.
Okay, but there are many other things you can do. It's like when somebody gets killed, you could have shot them in the leg. There are many things that you can do.
No.
You have to shoot somebody in the head. This woman was killed.
The police don't shoot you in the leg, ever.
Okay.
That's not part of police.
Again, so we need to have a conversation about whether somebody needs to die because ICE is in neighborhoods doing policing for immigration.
If the police...
And so no matter of the stipulation of where police...
is an important piece of misinformation.
So tell me what's the misinformation about? They can't shoot anywhere else but someone's head? That's what I want to know.
The police are... if the police are shooting, they are shooting to neutralize a threat. They don't shoot to wound. They don't shoot to... people always say this, but it's not true. The police don't try to shoot you. They wouldn't aim a gun down.
So
So
police should always shoot to kill, and that's what they're trained to in this country.
If they're going to shoot, they are shooting to kill. That is the police training.
Okay,
that is the way...
That's terrible training. I'd like to review that and make sure that's accurate 100%.
No, it's not.
But if police are always trained to kill, it's absurd.
They're aiming for here. This is where they're aiming to shoot at because that's the highest likelihood of neutralizing the threat to them. They're not firing unless they fear for their life or the safety of people around them. If they're going to shoot at your leg, they could miss you. It's not like Jack Bauer or something on television where they're sharpshooters. They could hit the ground, it could ricochet, and it could hit somebody else.
Well, all I know is that Renee Macklin-Good was a woman from Colorado that had a 6-year-old kid that's now dead. And that's the problem for me, more than whether the police training should shoot her somewhere else. I don't think that the woman should be dead. I don't think people should run away from the police or any body of authority, but I also don't think that that's a reason to kill somebody and shoot them in the head. And I think that we have to ask ourselves, is this what ICE was meant to do as we're deploying and moving troops or moving National Guard members forward, and asking ourselves, is this providing the safety that we're looking for in our communities? I mean, there's people like Joe Rogan having this conversation about, okay, yes, please, most of the country agrees that criminal migrants should get out of the country and be deported. But when we have multiple incidents like this, and this is, according to AP, the 5th death that's occurred in regards to a back and forth with an ICE officer and a civilian, or somebody who was international and moved here, or local, but still a death, is this what we wanted from immigration reform? So yes, President Trump has moved the needle forward in regards to reform, but no, is this the way that people wanted American citizens to die? I would say most people would say this is not what we wanted.
I think the situation calls for, it is nuanced. It's going to need to be reviewed by relevant legal authorities for whether the very precise justification for the use of force was met. I frankly don't think it's helpful what Kristi Noem said or what Donald Trump said, which was not accurate, that he was not run over. Similarly, it was not accurate or helpful what Jacob Frey said, which is that it was self-defense. He starts swearing it's BS. It's get F ICE out. Like, we don't know yet. We can't tell even from the footage. Cooler heads, more legal experts are going to review that, and it doesn't help to be worked up about it from our political leaders.
Up next, the U.S. sees 2 Venezuela-linked oil tankers with one flying a Russian flag. Don't go anywhere.